It's time for the 8-Minute Devotion. The 8-Minute Devotion is a daily message that fills you with hope and encouragement from the Word of God. Here's your host, Pastor Cameron Walcott.
Hello, and welcome back to the 8-Minute Devotion, our Friday episode. Finishing the second week of Season 4 here on the podcast, which also means finishing the second week of our series on the heart of missions. You know, if you've been blessed by this series so far, we encourage you, we invite you to give us your feedback by emailing us at the8minutedevotion@gmail.com, or you can let us know your thoughts by adding to the comment section on Facebook, our Facebook videos, our YouTube videos. We would love to hear from you, love to hear if this has been a blessing to you. Another thing you can do that would really help us out is please like and subscribe to our videos or our audio podcast. Like them, subscribe to them, and share them to others so that this message can get out to as many people as possible. We would love for our reach to continue to expand, so please make sure you like, subscribe, share. We have had over 100,000 downloads of our audio podcast through the years. We've had, I forget the exact number, it's 5,000 or 6,000 downloads of the video podcast. So we thank all of you who have watched, who have listened, but please keep sharing it, keep liking it, so keep subscribing, so we can reach as many people as possible. So we are in this series, The Heart of Missions. We're looking at God's heart to reach the nations. God's heart is never just about us. God's heart is always to use us to reach others. You see, that's God's intention. And yesterday we started looking at this concept of inheritance. The Lord said, "Ask of me, and I will give you the nations as your inheritance." I'd so much rather have a nation, an eternal nation, an eternal crown based on people who I've brought to the Lord from a nation than $1 million that will last me for a little while here on earth, and then it'll be gone. I would so much rather have an inheritance of souls than an inheritance of a house or a car. The inheritance I want is the one God promises. Ask of me, and I will make nations your inheritance. Imagine going to heaven, and imagine God showing you, these are the people you've brought to the Lord. This is the nation that you impacted with the gospel, and it's millions, perhaps billions of people that have been impacted by your life, your ministry, your obedience to the Lord. I can't think of anything better. And for all eternity, we will worship the Lord together. You know, that's why the Apostle Paul said, what's our hope? What's our joy? What's our crown? Is it not you in the presence of God? You know, the joy and the crown we get in heaven. It's going to be the people we've impacted for the gospel. Souls last forever. Everything else we see on earth is temporary and transient. Souls last forever. So that's the inheritance we want. We're going to look at 5 lessons about the nations as our inheritance. And the first one we'll look at today, and that is that the nations have always been God's intention. We looked at this passage a few days ago, but let me read it again. Genesis 12, 1-3. God, the first time God called Abraham, what did he say? "Now the Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth will be blessed." God speaks to Abraham, and he says, I am going to make you a great nation. I'm going to bless you. But what was God's intention in doing it? What was the reason that God told Abram, I'm going to bless you? He said that so in you, all the families, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. You know, friends, when did missions become important to God? Who came up with this concept? You know, is it true that maybe in the Old Testament, it was all just about one nation, Israel. And then in the early church, it was all just localized around Israel. And, you know, that missions really is a modern concept. It started with men like William Carey and Hudson Taylor in the 1700s, 1800s, when, you know, the boats started to enable them to travel around the world. And then, of course, it really exploded in the 1900s when we had planes and could easily fly around the world. Before then was this thought of going to all the nations not really important to God? No, No. Genesis 12 was the beginning. It was the first time. It was the first time that God was speaking to his people in his redemptive arc. It was the first step. Abraham was sort of the first step in God's redemptive plan, that he was going to bring forth Jesus through the children of Israel. It all started with Abraham. And from the beginning, God tells him, you will be a father of nations. All the nations of the world will be blessed through you. You see, it was always about nations that were promised as Abraham's inheritance. You will be given many nations. Your descendants will be many. I will give you a land. I will give you nations. And of course, Abraham is the father of our faith. And if he was promised nations as an inheritance, it is your promise as well. He's your father. His promise is your promise. The last several years I was in Singapore, I did serve as the missions pastor in Cornerstone Community Church. And I tell you, that's one of the favorite things. You know, in my years of ministry, I've been in ministry about 25 years, but my time as missions pastor was definitely one of the highlights, because we were able to have such a reach through the work God had given Cornerstone. You know, at the time I was the missions pastor there, we had about 142 churches in 14 countries. We had Bible schools, we had orphanages, and seeing how God worked in the nations, it never stopped thrilling me to see this is God's heart, seeing the nations. You know, we had works in countries like China, India, Philippines, Myanmar, which is also called Burma, Laos, Cambodia. We had works in Indonesia, Malaysia, throughout Africa, in Rwanda, Burundi, Kenya, Uganda, and many other nations that I didn't speak of right now. And every time I would go to these places, every time the pastors would come and visit us in Singapore, it was a delight that, yes, this is the heart of God. Even to today, I still go to a meeting every year, the Cornerstone Global Network, where our pastors from all over the world gather together. And I tell you, it never ceases to be encouraging when you hear how God is moving in the different nations. Oh, he's doing this in Malaysia. He's doing this in India. Oh, he's blessing the brothers and sisters in China in this way. And it is so encouraging to see how God moves in the nations. And I believe that he does this because the nations have always been his intention. The nations have always been on his heart. And it is a blessing. It's a blessing when we get to take part in it. I thank God for those times. I thank God that I continue to get to be involved in the nations today. And may we all pray, God, let me have nations as my inheritance, the ends of the earth as my possession. Thank you so much for watching and listening. You have to go a couple days without hearing from us because it's the weekend. But we'll be back on Monday on the 8-Minute Devotion.
Thank you for listening to the 8-Minute Devotion. Please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast wherever you listen to or watch it. And email us at the8minutedevotion@gmail.com with any questions or comments. May God bless you